Good morning. Today we have to examine the crucial determinant that influences the pattern of gains as far as international trade, namely terms of trade. So, terms of trade or TOT. As we saw, the terms of trade is an important determinant and measure to evaluate the individual countries from international trade. The international trade consists or involves two activities, that is export as well as import. Export and import. Then obviously the terms of trade is related to the term export as well as import. So the terms of trade is measures the countries gets for its export and price pays for its import. It is nothing but it is the relative price of two exporting and importing countries. So let us examine different type of terms of trade, or what are the issues related to that. What are the issues related to the measurement of terms of trade? So first important type of terms of trade, that is commodity terms of trade or net barter terms of trade. First one, that is commodity terms of trade. Commodity TOT, that is commodity terms of trade or net barter terms of trade. The commodity terms of trade, it is the most frequently used and important measure of the direction of trade gains. So the net commodity terms of trade or net barter terms of trade is denoted the letter N. N is equal to Px divided by Pm is multiplied by 100 in order to express the terms of trade in terms of percentage. Where we already saw that the Px by Pm is the price of export divided by price of import. So N is the net barter terms of trade or commodity terms of trade, that is equal to price of export divided by price of import is multiplied by 100 in order to express the terms of trade in terms of percentage. Then other terms of trade is also related to the commodity terms of trade or net barter terms of trade. For example, income terms of trade. Then next one, that is second type of terms of trade, that is income terms of trade. G.S. Lawrence in 1948, he was the famous international economist. He was modified and improved the net barter terms of trade or commodity terms of trade and formulated the income terms of trade. The income terms of trade is nothing, the net barter terms of trade is multiplied by the quantity of export. Okay. So the income terms of trade is denoted as the letter I. I is the income terms of trade. I is equal to, the income terms of trade is the export based capacity to import. The income terms of trade is defined as the export based capacity to import. So the income terms of trade is equal to Px by Pm is into Qx. Px divided by Pm into Qx. Where Px by Pm, we already saw that Px by Pm is the net barter terms of trade, is multiplied by Qx, where Qx is designated by the export volume index. So is also rewritten by N into Qx. That is N is the Px by Qm. Px by Pm is the net barter terms of trade is multiplied by Qx, that is export volume index. Then next one, the upper part of the equation in income terms of trade, the upper part of the equation, that is Px into Qx, that is total export earning. Okay, then next important type of terms of trade on the basis of productivity, Jacob Weiner and G.S. Dorrance in 1937 has again modified the income terms of trade on the basis of productivity, that is single factorial terms of trade and double factorial terms of trade. First one, let us start from single factorial terms of trade. The single factorial terms of trade is denoted the letter S. Single factorial terms of trade is denoted as letter S. Then the single factorial terms of trade is that net barter terms of trade adjusted the changes in productivity of both export sector or the factors employed in export industries only. So the S is equal to Px divided by Pm into ZX, where ZX is designated by the country's export volume index. Then next one, that is double factorial terms of trade. Jacob Weiner in 1937 has modified the income terms of trade on the basis of productivity index. So that is single factorial terms of trade and double factorial terms of trade. So first one, that is single factorial terms of trade, only the export index. But in double factorial terms of trade, we also consider both export and import. So the double factorial terms of trade take into the account the productivity index of both domestic export sector and foreign export sector, and also analyzing the import of the country. D, that is denoted as D. D is equal to Px by Pm. We already saw that Px by Pm is the net barter terms of trade, is multiplied by Zx divided by Zm. Where Zx is the export volume index and Zm is the import volume index. Let us analyzing the last concept of terms of trade, that is gross barter terms of trade, that is introduced by tossing. Tossing introduces the gross barter terms of trade in order to analyze the relationship between quantities. So we already saw that the previous four type of terms of trade is related to the price changes. On the other hand, gross barter terms of trade is the ratio of index of physical quantity of export as well as import. So the gross barter terms of trade is denoted as G. G is the gross barter terms of trade, that is equal to Qx divided by Qm, where Qx is designated by the export quantity and Qm is designated by the import quantity. So I would like to conclude this section. This is all about the terms of trade and different type of terms of trade.